I'm pretty okay actually with not having like I feel like the 7-day suspension. I almost feel like it's a welcome relief. It's like the only thing that'll slow me down. Like if I got like totally suspended, I would have just made a new account that day. But like
right,
I'm waiting it out with the 7 days. I'm not really too confident that I'm even going to get it back, but I don't know.
You call this perhaps like a retreat of some kind?
Yeah, I'm doing self-care. I'm doing self-care. Yeah. Taking a few days off of Twitter. I could have just made a new account. I almost did, because 7 days is a long time. But that's okay. We'll wait and see what happens. Like I said, I'm not totally confident I'm going to get this one back anyway. It might be like just a second account that's just there that I'm eternally locked out of.
I mean, which is an increasing trend too, because correct me if I'm wrong, but that happened with your previous account.
It did.
Tony Beast.
It happened to Rachel Dolezal. Did I tell you that?
I was the
exact same thing happened to Rachel. And if they're gonna go for Rachel Dolezal, what kind of chance do I stand? You know what I'm saying?
It happened to our comrade Brian from Street Fight.
That's right. No, and his account got straight up just suspended, just got banned. He's not even locked out of it anymore. It's just gone.
Really?
Yeah.
And here's the question I had too. Like, are they even verifying new accounts anymore?
No, not in a long time. Not in a long time. In fact, another bad signal for me is I saw Carpe Donktum, friend of the show, whining on Instagram the other day, and he like shared the screenshot of one of his last like his appeal emails to Twitter that have gone unanswered since like June.
Oh, he got banned, right?
Yeah, he got banned from Twitter.
Right,
and like,
right.
You know, I emailed him a few times in August, and I never heard back, and I doubt I ever will.
Oh, to Twitter, not to Carpe Donktum.
To Twitter, yeah. Street Fight Brian emailed them. Told me he was emailing them like daily, for a while, and then I don't know. But you know, if they're gonna treat Rachel Dolezal like that, what kind of shot do I have?
Noted cameo star Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah.
But it's weird too, because I notice like every once in a while I'll see somebody with like 500 followers or something that's verified, and you know, and it shows like, you know, they work at MSNBC or something like that, like a media outlet. So right. Clearly from that I'm inferring that there's some sort of back channel between.
I mean, I've seen the same with like you know, congressional candidates and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I believe there was some rumors that was, or theories rather, that's why there was some like speculation that like Laura Loomer, like that's why she ran for Congress, was to like get a Twitter account back, because yeah, like anybody who runs for public office, it seems like it doesn't work for everybody. Maybe they don't all try, but like yeah, I've seen plenty of like no name congressional candidates with like a couple hundred followers and like a relatively new account be verified within the past year.
Imagine endangering yourself legally by potentially breaking campaign finance violations just so you can get back on Twitter.
I'd do it.
I respect it.
Yeah, I'd fucking do it. You know,
Shane, again, if there's anybody, you know, in our orbit that should be verified on Twitter, it's you, because you're dare I say, a real person. You know, like a real career. You know, that's salient to needing a public voice.
Right,
and yet,
it's funny too, because my @ has always just been my name too. It's not like
exactly.
I've ever, you know, there were like a few times when I first got back onto Twitter a few years ago where I like kind of changed the display name up, and then I was like, I can't do this. It's exhausting. Like I respect it sometimes when I see funny ones, like Chris's are pretty funny, or if you know if somebody's got a long-term moniker or whatever. But like I just I'm so tired, man. I was gonna say, Chris, you know, I know you've had you have your little like I don't know, what is it called, like a sanatorium retreat from Twitter,
sabbatical.
Yeah, at the Battle Creek Sanatorium.
Yeah. I just can't even half the time these days give a shit enough to like check and see what's going on. Like occasionally, you know, like for our show, sometimes we talk about that stuff on you know, over Twitter group message and stuff, and so I'll use it for that kind of thing, or checking in with maybe one or two people. But like, there's so much there's so much just fucking yelling all the time. I guess it's always been like that, and it's you know, things seem more hyper, but it's like it seems like it's just every day there's like some new big fight, and most of the time it's things I don't care about, or it's like because if you're there at the beginning of it, it can sometimes be amusing to track it and figure out like, okay, who's mad at who and what happened, what was said, you know, everybody's like dunking on one person or whatever. But if you come like late, if you're not like constantly on it, if you come like kind of late into that, it's like, what is this? Like what? It's like totally inscrutable to even figure out like what the fuck is happening. And then if you ask for an explanation, somebody's like, well, like the Burger Boy, right? And you're like, no, who the fuck is the Burger Boy? And it's like the Burger Boy is the guy who like a year ago, rode his dog in a viral video and broke its back, and everybody was mad at him anyway. So he's back, and now he's a QAnon Nazi, and it's like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. And he got into a fight with a Scientologist, and then they said, blah, blah, and it's like, it's too much. Like I've been taking my time away from Twitter in this little brief moment of around the holiday and stuff to go back to an old classic and look up ancient Chinese dynasties.
Oh wow.
That's what I've been doing.
But you know what?
I've been playing the piano,
I was looking through, I was thinking of you actually yesterday, Shane. I was looking through I was down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole of like
oh yeah, dude, yeah,
unusual deaths.
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite pages. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we
And
got?
like a lot of them was like just ridiculously obscure like princes and kings and noblemen who lived in like 700 AD or whatever. And I was thinking about what you were saying about like looking through the all the picture that they use for all the old monarchs and how sometimes it's a coin, or like for some of them, like one of them specifically was like just the I guess the image they had of them was like a painting of I don't remember who it was specifically, but a painting of the like horrific way in which they died. Like that was the picture. That was the picture of them they used for like the main article.
What a shame.
Of them.
They could have gone their whole life doing great things, which obviously they didn't because they were monarchs or whatever. But like what they're known for is like the fact that they like accidentally ate primitive glue and shut down their liver. That's how they
There's a bunch of them that are on there that I like, that where it's various monarchs and stuff who died of laughter.
Yes,
from one cause or another.
There was one they said like he supposedly died of laughter after like a really funny joke that his jester told, and they printed supposedly the joke verbatim. I mean, certainly humor styling changed in the past 900 years, but I didn't find it very funny personally.
There was a good one. I was trying to look it up just now, but it was like I believe it was like in the like 1500s, and it was a king of some kingdom in Southeast Asia. I forget which, and there were like these Venetian traders who had somehow managed to get all the way over there in the kind of early days of colonization and stuff, and they're trading and I guess back then part of the customary thing is that like when you're introducing yourselves, you bring like a gift, you present like a bunch of gifts to the sovereign or whatever. And so, they had their like baubles or whatever it is. They were, some goblets or, linens, and they presented it to this king. And he said, they had like a translator that was obviously translating between them. And the king was like, oh, let me, I'm very impressed by these baubles. Let me relay my thanks to the king of Venice. And then when the traders heard that, they're like, oh, there is no king in Venice. We're a republic. Right. We have a doge or whatever, and that like went back and forth like 3 or 4 times between the translator, and they couldn't. Like the king was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, and so they like very specifically like laid it out. It's like we have like a group of citizens who then elect who's going to be in charge, and then he's in charge until we elect somebody else. And when it finally like dawned on the king, this idea of like popular government, however limited, he like started laughing so hard that he died. And of course, you imagine in that scenario, imagine being like the traders and like watching him laugh and then starting to realize that he's about to die or that he has died. And you're like, what the fuck do we do now?
He's dying.
Giuseppe, we better scramble.
He's dying in front of us. We flew here and all our arms are tired.
There's another good one on that list that I think it's like one of the earliest cases, because there's a couple, that come from almost like kind of prehistory, and it's like difficult to know, how true, even the story I just told, how true it is.
Yeah, a lot of them definitely seem like bullshit.
But like there was one where it was.
So they want to say he died of syphilis.
Right, exactly. I mean?
Yeah.
But like there was one that was on that list where it was like, some archaeologists had uncovered like an ancient tomb somewhere in China. and like the epitaph was like explained how the guy died, and it was like he was mourning the death of his favorite turtle, and then an eagle came in, grabbed the dead turtle, and then dropped it on his head, and he died.
So yeah, I think that's a Greek. Yeah, that's one of the ones I knew already before reading that page. But yeah, I think it was a Greek guy, wasn't he?
Oh, was it a Greek guy?
I believe
Maybe.
so. Yeah, and like they said, supposedly the legend is like the eagle, like they pick up turtles and they drop them on rocks to like shatter them,
Right,
to like
right.
eat the meat or whatever, and like they supposedly the eagle mistook, or the bird or whatever mistook his bald head for a rock and like dropped it on him and killed him. And supposedly
Wow.
like he was hanging out outside in the first place because he was trying to avoid an omen that said he was going to die from something falling on his head, so he wanted to be outside rather than inside, where he thought that was less likely to happen.
Oh, how poetic.
Sucks to be you.
Right. Well, that's why it's exactly. It's a little bit too ironic and like poetic and perfect. Yeah.
There's another one. You guys would probably know. It was one of the whiskey guys.
I'm
Was it, like,
literally
Johnny
looking.
Walker?
I'm literally looking at it right now.
And didn't he die because he got drunk and he like kicked his safe because he couldn't remember the combination? And then
exactly correct.
Yeah, he broke his toe and it caused some kind of like blood clot and he died from it.
A gangrenous infection, in fact. And
Fucking
yeah, it was
This stupid asshole.
dang this dog forsaken goddamn freaking safe. Jasper Newton, aka Jack Daniels.
Oh, Jack Daniels, that was it.
Yeah, the gangrene continued to spread throughout his system, and he eventually lost his left leg.
His name was Jasper Newton.
Jasper Newton Daniel.
Jasper Newton Daniel.
Yeah, that's him.
It's
AKA
like
Jack
a
Daniel.
Red Dead Redemption fucking name.
It's funny too. The company that sold the safe, it says the company was sold in 1956 to the Brown Foreman Corp, but the Motlow family is still the majority owner and continues to operate and manage the company. Yeah, good for them to have inherited wealth. That's what I'm really getting from this.
While we're on this topic, you might have heard this before. This one's on there. The guy Michael Malloy, the guy in New York City in the 30s, he was like a homeless drunk, and like his 4 or 5 friends or acquaintances or whatever, like took out it was a scam. Like they took out, I guess they had like a crooked insider working with them. They took out life insurance policies on the guy, and like they just assumed that he was like so old and in such bad shape that they were just gonna, like, one of them owned a speakeasy and they were just gonna let him like drink for free and think that he would drink himself to death. And like it went on and on and on every day, and he drank and it didn't work. So they put like rat poison in his drinks and like antifreeze and like
Jesus.
turpentine and like all, and he kept drinking it and like surviving. And then they fed him a sandwich with like poison and like carpet tacks in it, and he ate it. And then he just keep getting drunk every night. And then like one night he got so drunk and he like passed out in the bar. They took him out in the snow and left him there in the park or whatever, and like dumped cold water on him. And then like the next day they saw him again walking in. Like, so finally, yeah, they killed him, but they killed him like by like I can't remember if they used gasoline or what they used. Like, basically like forced it down his throat. Yeah, but they had to make his death look accidental. So it's like, it's like almost like a Coen Brothers type thing. You know what I'm saying? Where like this bumbling group of people like trying to kill this guy, and they can't do it. And finally, when they finally did, they obviously got caught.
Right.
Rasputin
ass motherfucker.
Yeah, it seems fantastical, but I don't know.
He ate a sandwich with carpet tacks. It could have happened to anybody.
There's some truth. There's at least some truth to it, I guess.
That's so fucking. I mean, the guy's if the guy is a classical tramp, like his life is bad. Like, why fucking do that to him? That's so sick. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, the Vic Morrow's on here. That's sad. That's a sad one.
Vic Morrow?
That's the actor who was in the Twilight Zone movie.
What happened to him?
You don't know that story? Have you guys ever seen that one from the 80s?
Yeah, I don't remember what happened to him though.
John Landis, right, did that. Joe Dante directed a segment. I know the one. John Lithgow's in it. Right? Yeah. It's a great movie, and it's one of the better attempts to like readapt Twilight Zone stories in a modern way or whatever. And it's like 4 different stories, and one of them, and they're 4 different stories that are then like stretched to be like 20, 30 minutes long. And one of the stories, it's a story about a bigot and he's like an old drunk white guy bigot who's like really bitter and racist against minorities, and he's specifically, there's like an opening scene where he's like getting really drunk and he's racist against Black people, he's racist against Asian people, specifically Vietnamese, and then he's racist against Jews too. And then, like, you know, the whole idea is that he stumbles out of the bar drunk, and then he goes through a series of kind of you know, moral stories of being in different places at different times. So, you know, he's like a black guy during a kind of Reconstruction era, and he gets like attacked by like KKK guys. He is a Jew in Poland when the Nazis have taken over and stuff, and he's like trying to avoid getting sent to a camp and stuff. And then he's like a Vietnamese farmer or whatever during the Vietnam War. And so the idea is, you know, it's like a classic moral thing of, you know, putting him in somebody else's shoes that he's supposed to see. And in all of them, he gets into different dangerous situations. And in the movie version, it ends up with him just going to a camp. Like, that's the end of the story in the Polish one. But in what they were actually going to do is they were going to film the rest of the Vietnamese segment, and it was going to involve a helicopter attack. And a part of his sort of redemption arc was going to be that he found these two little Vietnamese kids and was trying to save them. And I've read about this incident a bunch, and apparently, like, they didn't do all the safety precautions that they were supposed to with the helicopter, and they kind of rushed the scene and everything. And so while they were filming the scene, the helicopter crashed into the guy holding the two kids, and the rotor blades on top of the helicopter decapitated all of them.
Jesus Christ.
And of course, you know, there were all kinds of weird things that then came out about, like, you know, the kids, the parents who had, like, allowed their kids to be in the movie, they, like, hadn't done it through the proper legal channels, or the production was kind of, like, pushing the legality of it by, like, filming at night, and it was, like, you know, raining, and all this shit. They didn't put the safety stuff in, and it was, like, this whole big weird thing, and then they ended up releasing the movie anyway. They just, like, recut that sequence. It's his last movie he's in. I think the kids got totally cut out of it. You know, John Landis is still, like, a beloved filmmaker.
No.
I think it was Landis, right? I'm not making that up.
You don't fucking release the movie. Like, the movie's haunted.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And Spielberg.
Wow.
Spielberg was one of the producers on that too.
Shane, am I wrong? Is there kind
he
of
has
like
his hand in worse than that, probably?
yeah. But
is there kind of like video footage of this that kind of cuts off at a certain point?
There might be. I think that might be so gruesome that I never looked up to it. There's definitely, like, behind the scenes photographs and stuff, and there's obviously the sequence of footage. I mean, they must have been rolling when this happened.
Dwight, go to www.rotten.com.
Yeah, I knew that was fucking coming. I knew it was coming.
Dwight, I have a VHS that it might interest you called Faces of Death.
No.
I'll send it post haste to your apartment.
Why? Please, no. No.
Yeah, it's a really grim one. It's a grim one. And again, it's one of those weird things where it's like they still released the movie. They made a ton of money off of it.
Well, a guy also died. I believe they actually left it in the movie. A guy died in the filming of Ben-Hur. He fell in front of. He was like one of the spectators in the Circus Maximus.
Oh,
scene,
yeah.
And he fell in front of the chariot. And I believe that they left like the guy falling in front of the chariot in the movie. But the guy, there was an accident, and the guy actually died. Pretty sure that was Ben-Hur, right?
It's so sick, man.
What are you gonna do?
You're gonna shut down the production because of one little slip up.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's a sad one.
That's
a sad one.
Obviously, you know, there's just a litany of musicians that have died, you know, through no real fault of their own, just accidentally and shit, and that just still haunt me, you know, thinking of what could we have seen from their musicianship and their career.
Sure.
I think that about Jim Croce all the time.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. What a career, man! Only was just a couple years. He only had like two albums, maybe three, and they were smash hits. He was man. There's something like when you look at a picture of him, he looks like he
looks old,
45 years old.
Yes,
yeah, but like he died at like 31 or 32.
Yeah, he looks haggard.
Yeah.
Terry Kath for me. the
Oh
leads,
yeah,
the
from Chicago.
from Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty gruesome death, which I don't think we really need to recount. Long story short, we can just say he was, playing around with some firearms and was like, no, it's not loaded. And, I'll leave it to your imagination from them. But he was 32. He was 31
Sounds right.
when he died. And I mean, this was a guy that, Jimi Hendrix said, like, damn, that guy can really play some guitar.
Terry Kath era Chicago rocks.
Oh
man,
man. Just unbelievable. Obviously the if you're interested in hearing one of his just famous solos, great
We're
song.
losing Shane.
Yeah, that's fine. He'll come back to it. He's taking this is Shane's sabbatical. You've had your Twitter sabbatical. But yeah, the song 25 or 6 to 4, in which he does his 4-minute long guitar solo, and one of my favorite songs featuring the Beach Boys with him lead singing with his very kind of deep baritone voice is "Wishing You Were Here." Highly recommend it. In fact, let's close with that, and I'll have Shane do a karaoke.
How about we close with "Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again" from Phantom of the Opera?
Oh, look at that! All right,
I know.
Do some musical theater.
I've been like I mentioned briefly, been trying to find something a little bit more productive and playful and creative to do instead of whiling the hours away on Twitter. They're laughing because I sent them one of the funny deaths, and we're not going to repeat it.
No,
we're not going to repeat it.
It's really funny that's on there.
Yeah. No, we're not going to talk about it. But it is again. You can go list of unusual
Is
deaths
the
on
Wikipedia
Wikipedia.
page just called the Mr. Hands incident?
No,
or
please.
Okay. Anyway.
That's fine.
Anyway,
they get the point.
I've been playing the piano.
Oh God.
And I've been learning because I'm good listening by ear and learning songs. I've been trying to recreate and play some of my favorite Tom Lehrer songs. I don't know if you know Tom Lehrer. He was a satirist, and he wrote sort of funny, clever piano songs, usually a musical accompaniment in the 1960s. And the musical element itself is very George M. Cohan and early 1900s The Entertainer kind of stuff. But then it's got playful dialogue. He has a bunch of them. I initially got into him 5 or 6 years ago when I stumbled across him. That he has a bunch of songs about nuclear war and the Cold War and stuff.
You closed your Shanos Brainos with his song.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
One of his songs.
Yes.
We will all go together when we go. And I was just recently reminded of it because a few weeks ago I was very lucky to go on the Mr. Movies podcast and talk about one of my favorite films of all time, Dr. Strangelove. And specifically in the course of that, we were talking about Operation Paperclip and Werner von Braun, the Nazi rocket scientist who then came to the United States, was brought here to work on the weapons program and the space program, of who Dr. Strangelove is very much based on that sort of archetype, that character. And so, if you're interested in hearing a little bit more of that, you can go check out Mr. Movies podcast. And,
of the famous
we have a whole
filmtwitter.com.
long conversation about that. They're fun songs.
You guys should see what I sent you.
I'm not looking.
Let's see.
God damn it. All right. No. What the fuck? Oh, I was this is fucking sick because, speaking of musicians. Okay, so for the listener, now that we're fucking roped into this, there was an album, a Herbie Hancock album that happened to have the title Mr. Hands. Now it also
you can currently see on my Instagram as of 5 seconds ago. We should make that the episode. Image.
I mean, firstly, Herbie Hancock is a god to me.
Yeah, he rocks.
He's a god to me, and
no idea who he is.
Please, now you're trolling me. You're trolling.
I'm not. I have no idea who that is.
Oh my god! And Jaco Pastorius is also a god to me. And Jaco Pastorius played on the track 4 a.m. on this album, and Herbie Hancock also played on Jaco Pastorius's self-titled album, which for anybody that's interested in jazz, I mean, it's compulsory listening. It's absolutely.
Wait, did you already know
masterful.
about the album Mr. Hands? By
I didn't.
Hancock?
It didn't make a connection until I saw it. But yeah, I guess I'd never really thought of it in the context that unfortunately we're discussing.
Yeah, context changes everything.
That's what I hear.
Billy Joel has an album titled Stormfront, which has
Oh, interesting.
taken on some
Interesting.
unfortunate meaning in the past 35 years.
Jesus. Yeah. When was
I kind of already had a bad meaning
Yeah?
before that. Yeah, I mean, it's close enough. I guess there's also the more meteorological meaning
Right,
of a
right.
storm
I'm sure
front.
we'll give Mr. Joel the
yeah,
the benefit of the doubt.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I have a-
No, I'm not sure you should grant that to someone from Long Island.
There was another weird 80s song that I found out was had some weird neo-Nazi connection to it. What is it called?
Is it Ace of Base or
Yeah, I Saw the Sign.
Yeah.
You know that song?
I
Yeah.
mean, listen. When when we were in grade school, I think we're like second or third grade or something. That was it. That was the song. Everybody listened to that.
I liked that song.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course. It's catchy as shit.
Yeah, I guess it has some Nazi connotations. I'll be clear, I don't know enough about music to know any of the people involved in this band. I'm sure it was just like one of them, but I'll blanket slander them all. I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Again,
I don't give a shit. I don't know what these people are.
That's what we're here for, man.
Yeah.
as we're gonna find out in the in the main episode where we talk about the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, every single thing, if it's popular and you look back, if it's older than like 70 years, they're either Nazis or like hideously racist or have slave wealth or something.
Do you guys know about the Sea Monkeys guy, right?
Sea monkeys.
You're familiar with Sea Monkeys, right? Like like Brian Shrimp, the children's toy.
Yeah.
The little
Yeah.
packet of like the cryogenic
The
eggs or whatever.
the
and you put them
animal.
in and-
Yeah.
yeah, they're like little tiny like
Yeah.
So the
nematodes or something.
guy who like I guess copywrote or whatever the name Sea Monkeys and came up with the idea of like selling brine shrimp as a toy to children. Like at some point, I believe like in the 80s, I think he started those in the 60s or 70s, but like by the 80s or the 90s, I believe it came out that he was in fact like a member of the KKK and like neo-Nazi groups.
Oh,
and like so
no.
if you bought or if your parents bought you Sea Monkeys as a child, that money probably went to like buy assault rifles for the KKK or something.
That's pretty good.
Why? Can we have nothing?
Yes.
Is nothing pure?
Yes.
Is nothing pure?
Yeah, and that's fine.
Oh, god damn it.
It's not quite all as bad as being a front to raise money for lone wolf terrorism. Or
Fair.
whatever,
Yeah.
but
All right. Step one: we're gonna trick these little shit kids into buying fish food.
I know it's crazy, but it's gotta work. Jesus Christ. It's constant, man. It's constant. Nothing, all of the older musicians and shit. Oh, it's not good.
Oh yeah, they're all anybody that lived like before 10 years ago is canceled, basically.
Zoomers,
not
this is your
us,
time.
not us.
Not us though. Not us.
I there's a Zoomer connection in my bit for the main episode that we're gonna record later. That is,
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So maybe let's not heap praise upon praise on the young either.
I love the
You're all
Zoomers.
you're all sick and demented in my mind. A lot of you.
No, you got to get on TikTok and see what they're up to. They're awesome.
There's no way you could say that and it sounds good.
You have what? How the fuck would I have existed throughout COVID if I didn't have TikTok? Like, how many hour-long blocks are there that I'm like, I can't possibly think of something to do right now, so I'm just gonna fucking piss away my life on TikTok, and it's been great. I've learned a lot.
Now you have a gaming computer. Do that instead.
It's so I literally, this is what I don't get about PCs. Like, I bought this thing, I spent umpteen fucking bucks on it, and this goddamn advertisement comes up saying like I'm gonna have a virus if I don't renew McAfee. There's one. I can't even look at his face anymore without thinking of fucking. He's now in prison, right?
Is he still? He might be. Is he? Was it Spain or Portugal?
Spain, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was in jail. He might be out. I'm not sure.
Guys, one thing too that I was thinking about that we could talk about during this Patreon thing is the McKinsey and Purdue thing.
What's that?
If I may read from the New York Times, you'll get it from the title, but like to really appreciate just how fucking callously cynical this is. Like, I don't know. Let me just read this. The title from the New York Times article by Walt Bogdanovich and Michael Forsyth. The title is McKinsey proposed paying pharmacy companies rebates for OxyContin overdoses. Court filings reveal consultants' talk of records purged during the opioid crisis and shed new light on sales advice given to the billionaire Sackler family and their drug company, Purdue Pharma. So if you listen to the program where we talked about Purdue Pharma, you'll really appreciate just how fucking disgusting these goddamn parasites are. So anyway, this is how it went down. It said, when Purdue Pharma agreed last month to plead guilty to criminal charges involving OxyContin, the Justice Department noted the role an unidentified consulting company had played in driving sales of the addictive painkiller, even as public outrage grew over widespread overdoses. Documents released last week in a federal bankruptcy court in New York show that the advisor was McKinsey and Company. Of course, we have to say former Buttigieg employer.
Sure.
McKinsey and Company, the world's most prestigious consulting firm. Which why even fucking use that word prestigious? Like I would understand if you said like, highest revenue or something like that. But what is prestigious about fucking, playing with a public health crisis? Anyway, the 160 pages include emails and slides revealing new details about McKinsey's advice to the Sackler family, Purdue's billionaire owners, and the firm's now notorious plan to turbocharge OxyContin sales at a time when opioid abuse had already killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. In a 2017 presentation, according to records which were filed in court on behalf of multiple states' attorneys general, McKinsey laid out several options to shore up sales. One was to give Purdue's distributors a rebate for every OxyContin overdose attributable to the pills that they sold. So there's a lot in there, and let me just kind of distill it, if I may. This was in 2017. This was, during the zenith of OxyContin overdoses, and at a time where it was becoming, widely recognized and publicly talked about that this was happening. Purdue and the billionaire owners, the Sacklers, went to McKinsey and was basically like, look, how do we mitigate this? How do we keep this train running? Because there's no way we're going to stop getting the fucking the scratch that we are from this thing. And one of McKinsey's suggestions was, well, maybe if somebody dies as a result of an opioid overdose from OxyContin, and it gets back to it, in court finding that it was attributable directly to your customer, let's say CVS, then you give them a rebate. So basically a dollar amount for every body bag is what they were discussing here as an option. For anybody that's, interested in reading the rest of this article, I highly recommend you do, because they talk about some of the specifics and some of the dollar amounts that they discuss here, because it's sick. I mean, here it says a rebate of $15,000 per, quote, event meant that Purdue would pay CVS $37 million that year. In 2019, they're talking about here. What that means.
I'm sorry. Wait.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe this is a stupid question. Why are they paying? Why would CVS get the money?
So CVS is the distributor of the drugs, right? You have a pain problem, your doctor prescribes you opioids, you go to CVS, right. And you can develop an addiction to a very addictive substance. If you die, what McKinsey was saying to the Sacklers is to say, hey, let's make sure not to disincentivize CVS from distributing OxyContin, and to sweeten that deal, to make sure that they continue distributing your drug. Maybe we offer to pay them a rebate if one of their customers dies, and they put a dollar amount on that human figure. I mean, think about how much they have in revenue. Fucking $36 million per year is nothing comparatively to keep that fucking product line going. Distribute. Treat. Addiction. And to them, that's $37 million is just like a speeding ticket. You're still getting to your billions as, extremely quickly by distributing this and knowingly pushing out bad, marketing to, incentivize doctors and, push them out, incentivize pain clinics and shit for, just writing scripts and whatever. But in the event that there is some sort of legal recompense that comes back to you, then, maybe we can sweeten the deal a little bit, just pay them a little bit just so they don't get too uppity about it. That's the fucking sick part to me, is that, the human life is using actuarial science to decide how much a death is worth to make sure that you can continue having that business line go through. That's the fucking sick part to me. Yeah, there you have it.
No.
That's the story.
Love a good lighthearted episode, man.
Yeah, I know.
We're having fun now.
Accidental deaths, fucking.
We should do an episode on McKinsey.
Ooh, yes,
bad idea.
we should.
Because they've been around for a long time. I think since like the 20s.
Really?
Yeah, I know that they were definitely involved in like the 60s and 70s. I know they have like a lot of ties to like the NatSec community. A couple of years ago, they did stuff for the CIA and NSA. Sort of like bungled their reorganization and shit. But I think their ties to that go even deeper. I have to check it out. It is a weird thought that you have these like hyper powerful, I don't know, like a consultancy company. Like you pay somebody to come up with that idea too. That's not even like an organic idea that like springs forth from like your evil board. You know what I mean? Like you have to like get like special vipers that you like bring in to be like, what's the most evil shit you can think of? Here's like $1 million. Take a month and come back to us with like a fucking PowerPoint presentation on awful, shitty, horrible things we could do. It's kind of astounding that there's even like a market for that. I mean, it's not surprising at all, but it is just still particularly I don't know. It's so like. It's so awful that it gets to that point of like supraliminal where it's just like you can't even wrap your head around like just how fucking evil it is. Like after when you were reading, the details and kind of laying it out, for me it's just like I don't know. Maybe I'm also just like generally depressed, but I don't even have it in me at this moment to even scream at that. It's just like just this like feeling of resignation washes over you. Because what do you do against like somebody like that can literally just pay off CVS per death? That's crazy. Like, there's like, I don't know. Put everybody who's owns or is on the board of McKinsey on the Wikipedia list for unusual deaths.
No.
That's really
allegedly
time to get some
joke
turtles and eagles out, man.
Non-actionable.
We'll be like fucking.
We're gonna set up some cameras like Bob Crane. Make some videos.
Just have some janky helicopters flying around their headquarters.
That's what's so sick about.
We're gonna sneak into a farm in the middle of the night.
No.
with the McKinsey board.
Oh please! Oh god! That's what's so sick about consulting companies too, is that they're paid for their objectivity. So like they have no moral compass because the only job that they have is capital efficiency. What is going to be creating the most shareholder value? And I might I don't really usually tell personal stories on the program because I just don't think it's really that valuable, but maybe I'll tell this and I'll decide whether or not to keep this in or something. But
Dwight works for McKinsey. That's
no, God.
that's what he was gonna say.
I remember my first job out of college, and I met a consultant, like somebody that was like, I don't remember what firm it was, like somebody from one of those big firms. And I was, young kid, I think it was fucking 21 or something. And I was interested. This was literally in the midst of like the 2008 financial collapse and shit. Mm-hmm. And I met a guy who was a consultant, like he probably fucking got paid, $700,000 a year, like one of that like prestige whatever consultants, and because he was doing an engagement at the company I was working for. And the guy, I was asking him a question. I was asking him about his background. How'd you get here? Whatever, just the normal schmooze thing that I do as a hopeless extrovert. And he told me that he's from India and that he was previously police chief in the city where he was from. And he was probably in his early 40s, maybe late 30s, something like that. So obviously, it came from, a well-to-do family or whatever to be able to get into that position. And he told me, I remember him saying, I'll never forget this, telling me that at their time, there was really bad riots in his city over like resources. I don't know if it was food or water or something like that. And there was civil unrest. And he said it was hard. He said, one of the bigger challenges for me was to decide when to use lethal countermeasures against the protests, meaning, telling his cops to fucking, spray lead everywhere, and I was like stunned because I'm like, I can't. I was 21. Like, how could I fucking possibly comprehend? Like, is this something that adults need to reckon with? Like, I didn't even know like what this was.
Right. Yeah.
And he said, so I was like, how do you make that decision? And he was like, well, you have to ask, is more death going to occur by not using it? And I remember thinking like, oh, wow, okay. But now in retrospect, I'm just like, what the fuck? What more death can you create than fucking spraying bullets into the crowd?
Right.
What the fuck is going
Right.
to happen? What are you talking about? And obviously, you know, in retrospect now, especially given the fact that he ended up being, you know, a prestige consultant, the answer was, you know, he was protecting whatever interests he was protecting, you know, in his city. And it had nothing to do with, you know, protecting people or whatever. It was protecting the interests of the resources that were held in his city. And I still can't believe I totally forgot about that until now. And that was, you know, again, one of the many radicalizing moments in my life where I was just like, are you fucking joking me, dude?
Scary and awful, you know, it's fitting with the tone of this episode.
Jesus Christ. Can we say anything that's like uplifting for our dear listener?
Not usually, no.
I had my bit about playing the piano. I thought that was nice.
That is true.
I play janky like little songs like that. That's a jazzy tune.
Oh
If
boy.
you want to hear a jazzy tune, I'm talking some fucking Joplin up in here.
The Maple Leaf Rag.
Let's go.
That's
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm fucking talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
I was literally
You know?
playing that over this last week. I think like literally on Thanksgiving Day, I played the Maple Leaf Rag on Spotify.
It's a good little jazzy tune, you know what I mean?
I think
That's what you gotta rock out to.
It made it onto Dwight's Soundbites, in fact.
Okay, nice.
I
I think it's that, you know, for me, my sole musical interest is stuff like that, Soviet marches, and then like Combat Christ. I don't know if you've ever listened to Combat Christ.
Is it like black
industrial, industrial goth music.
Love it, man.
I don't know. There's probably somebody who's really in that scene and is mad that I got that wrong. It's like industrial, like house music. It's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you better get the subgenre right.
And all the lyrics are like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's what I listen to.
Just
You know, we were making fucking Thanksgiving dinner, and Carrie, you know, has her rotation of songs, and it's either you know, it's like it's a rotation of all these like probably music you guys fucking listen to too, or it's people going like, no,
No. I mean, yes.
like sadness, and
Yeah,
then
that's
like it's either that or the Cardi B song WAP,
It's a fucking great song.
which is a pretty good song.
Love Cardi B.
Anything that's like angry and loud and has a fast beat, I can get into.
You know, I literally, you know, I sometimes I pump myself up before recording by doing a little bit of karaoke alone in my room here.
Mm-hmm.
I was pumping myself up. I started with the regular Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers. And then I went into one of my favorite tracks from the second My Chemical Romance album, The Ghost of You. I think it's a beautiful track. And I think Gerard Way is pretty cool, the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. There it is.
Chemical Romance.
There it is. I said it. Now everybody knows.
I'm thinking about starting a new game of Stardew Valley. Or thinking about maybe doing a little bit of farming.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Is
that's
this-
what's going on.
this
That's what's
is-
going on with me.
everybody was into this like last year or something for some reason. It was
I got into it. I'm trying to think if quarantine had started yet. I think maybe it had, but if it had, it was right at the beginning, and it may
Yeah.
not have even yet.
yeah, because I remember it. I remember like you and Mike talking about it in the context of like, this is going to be a hard month, so you know we better play this. It makes you feel better.
Yeah, I got that. I
Little
got
did we
Civ
know, like
6
here we
at
are
the time.
9 months
Right,
later.
Right. Yeah.
No end in sight. We're all gonna die. You know.
Probably. Well, I mean, definitely eventually.
Yeah.
There's only
we will
one
all.
game that I have.
Not me, though.
That is that doesn't involve either conquest or murder or intense competition.
Not interested.
And it's this game. It's with marbles. God, what is it called? It's
Who
this
the hell was
fantastic
telling
little
me-
marble game.
Oh, my
I
buddy
love it.
Jesse was telling me about another game similar to
Mousetrap?
Civ 6 the other night.
Marble it up. That's it. Marble
You've
it
talked
up.
about this.
Oh, I most certainly have. It's a fantastic little game about being a marble.
Have you played Crusader Kings 3?
Are you kidding me?
No.
I have like oh god, I don't even know if I should reveal this, but I think on Crusader Kings 2, let's see, I have 880 hours, and on Crusader Kings 3, I have almost 140 hours already.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking awesome. It's great.
How does it compare to Civ 6? Would you say it's better or worse or about the same?
Oh, it's I love the Paradox games, but they're like, and they're very, very fun, but the learning curve is much steeper. There's like a lot more mechanics. There's a lot more shit going on in them. I think like if you can get into it, you'd enjoy it. But the problem with those kinds of games is they usually take between like 5 to 10 hours to even figure out how to fucking play it right. And it's like they're huge time sinks. I mean, I'm embarrassed to admit how much I've in my life I've spent playing this all of their fucking games, dude.
880 hours.
That's not even the most. Europa Universalis 4. I won't even tell you how many I've. I mean,
we'll cut it. We'll cut it.
To appreciate scale.
Shane, you can tell us.
I have 1,833 hours in Europa Universalis 4.
Hell yeah.
A full-time job at 40 hours a week per year is 2,000 hours.
Yeah. There was a long period of unemployment for me that I was playing this game pretty frequently. The other thing is some of this is inflated because I am not a good caretaker of machines whatsoever, and I never turn my computer off, so I'll just leave shit on in the background. So part of that is sort of inflated by that, but yeah, I don't know. They're definitely they're nice big time. I think for me the escapism comes from the kind of the intricacy of it and my interest and fascination with history, because it's all like doing alt history shit. You know, it's like, what if Sweden took over the entire Baltic coastline, you know, in the 1500s, which I'm sure is not interesting to 90% of the population. But to me, I'm like, oh man, what if that happened?
You know,
how would that have shifted the balance during the 30 Years' War?
It didn't come up over the Thanksgiving table.
It does in my household.
Does it?
Me and Carrie have a little trade system where I will let her tell me about the Real Housewives of whatever.
Yes!
If I get to talk about the various succession crises of the late medieval, early modern period in Europe and the schisms. There's so many schisms. I love a good schism.
Much like the schism between, Meredith and Jen and Mary Crosby in Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Chris, you took that one hard.
Yeah, I watched like 10 minutes of that show the other day.
I think Carrie and I have to do a spin-off program where we just talk about this.
You know what I've been watching? You know what I've been watching a lot of, which I'd never seen before, but I've watched like kind of nonstop for the past week or so, is Shark Tank.
Yes.
I don't know how I'd never seen it, but like now that I've like watched hours and hours of it, it is such like effective capitalist propaganda.
It really is.
And that like it's like the whole point, it's like you have to come and like you have to like do a little shuck and jive and like prove your worth like to capital, and maybe if they approve of you, they'll let you live and grant you your dreams, or or they'll fucking
they'll kill you,
kick you out the door. Yeah, you go to the fucking gutter on Fifth Avenue. Fuck you.
They should drop you into a Shark Tank if your idea doesn't.
Yeah.
Isn't good enough. It is enough to snub.
If you don't get chosen, you have to eat a sandwich with carpet tacks and be left.
Yeah, but it is just like, and like the way these people like, they'll have like some story like, well, my dad had the idea for the company and then he died, and his like dying wish was I take his idea and his dream and I like build something out, and they'll start crying, and it's like you're just like you're just wailing, and like I said again, like bowing down to like the ruling class and like begging for their mercy.
But I like
it's really a sickening display. It is to watch it for hours on end.
I like the way that you said it, that it's extremely effective capitalist propaganda, because
it is though.
But the premise of it is yes, I'm here doing everything that I can, giving you an opportunity to own my idea that is probably my once in a lifetime shot.
Yeah.
And it's yours to own just because you already have money.
Right. That's the thing. I was watching
You're not an engineer. You didn't come up with any of this shit.
Right,
and in fact,
right.
you know, they have on the program, you know, as regulars, two of literally the dumbest and luckiest people on earth in fucking Kevin O'Leary and Mark Cuban.
I was watching. Well, that's what you brought up. I was watching an interview with Kevin O'Leary because I'm like deep down the rabbit hole. I'm like beyond watching the show. I'm watching interviews with people and all sorts of other stuff. I was watching an interview with him where he's talking about like what makes Shark Tank so great is that everybody comes through the door. It's just the person and their idea, and everybody's on an equal playing field. I was like, no, like these people, like they had a stepfather that lent them $200,000. That's why they have the business. Like that's like almost every one of these people, not all of them, but like almost every one of these people across the board, like they're in debt to somebody already. They already
right.
Some
they
of them,
have some kind of resource.
right. They have they already had investors. Like they already, like, in order to even get to the point where you're on Shark Tank, like, you know, these people are already making usually hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know?
Yes.
So it's not by any means an equal playing field. It's just like it's just a new iteration of like the Horatio Alger, like rags to riches, and it's the American dream. And anybody, all you need is a little spunk and fucking go get it this and anybody
and
can
$250,000 already.
A rich
it's a
father,
down payment.
some tenacity, a millionaire uncle who died and left you with his will.
But also what they do, these kind of like cultural reinforcements, like if somebody comes in and they're cocky, they get fucking laughed out of there, and the reinforcing the idea.
How dare you waste our time?
But it's also exactly because it's reinforcing the fact that a virtue is for you to have humility in front of these people.
Exactly.
Which is reinforcing the idea that you should be subservient and coming in hat in hand, being like, "Well, sir, here it is, sir."
And then when a guy like Kevin O'Leary is a complete dickhead, like he's supposed to be like, well, he's just it's a dog eat dog world, and he's giving the hard truth that you need to hear. Like, no, he's making fun of you. He's degrading you.
Which is so funny because he's my favorite.
Like in his mind, at least it's what he says, is that like, I'm the only one here being honest.
He's funny. Do you guys remember being young and going to like Staples in the 90s, and near the cash registers were those like little kind of cardboard kiosks with software in them that was called like freeware, or oftentimes there were like trials of games that would only give you the first one or two.
Yeah.
That was his company. I forget what it was called. It was called like
Softkey?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So what's funny about him too is that he won the lotto with that. Basically, he started it in like 86 or something with a bunch of Canadians, and he's Canadian.
He didn't do anything. He didn't write the code.
He didn't do shit.
He bought out his partner who did everything.
What's funny is I think I remember reading that like his net worth has pretty much been the same since then, meaning he has not made like a dime on the money that he's had like worth like $400 million.
Giving it all out. He's so generous. He's like Bill Gates. He's generous. He's just giving it out to anybody who proves their worth by like walking over hot coals in front of him for his amusement. He'll be like the fucking Bavarian king who dies of laughter as his like court fool dances for him as the peasants come in and parade for him.
But what's so funny too is that like it's also really effective capitalist propaganda, because the most successful ones isn't necessarily the ones that are like, we have a great year over year sales average, blah blah blah. It's not that. It's those that come in with a story of adversity. They love veterans. They love kind of like single momish sort of things.
Yes. That's a big theme, is like female empowerment. Like,
exactly. But the implication is even those who succeed actually have the most adversity. So it makes you like lower the bar for what you should expect a society should give you, because it says like, oh, but these people who had the steepest mountain to climb up, they actually succeeded. So if you, dear viewer who's watching this, dare think that you're owed a goddamn thing, look at this example and understand that like your grievances about a system, even if you had any grievances about a system that is disenfranchising you, is actually worth bullshit, because it's in fact you who are insufficient and undeserving of good things in your life.
I mean, put Trump on the Shark Tank panel. Just
give him Shark Tank.
his
Just give him
own
Shark
his
Tank.
own Shark Tank where he's the only potential investor, and he just sits there in like a weird gaudy MAGA
Wrong.
throne, and people come up to him with like the shittiest ideas and so like supplicant, and be like, and they all call him Mr. President. And he's just like, "It's awful. I hate this." Next.
It's a very bad idea. Very
Bye-bye.
bad. Enjoy.
If you could give him, honestly, I think if someone like took him aside right now and just said like, look, just shut up and concede, and we'll let you can have The Apprentice back in January.
He would take it in a second.
He would be 100%, yeah, 100%. He would be all over it. If he could have done both,
Except
if he could have
now,
done both as president, he would have
Yeah.
done it.
no, now his version of The Apprentice will be like, like he's like a Sith Lord, and he's commanding his apprentices to go to the Jedi Temple and murder children for his amusement.
Do it.
Get all the younglings.
Do it.
Don't spare a single one. Wipe them out, all of them.
Execute Order 66. It's fantastic. You're gonna love it.
Frankly,
66,
nobody
right?
else in the Trump organization could have thought of Executive Order 66, but I thought of it. A lot of people say to me, Trump, why didn't you go for Order 55 or perhaps maybe Order 77? But I said, I thought 66.
When I saw the footage of the clones massacring Kit Fisto, I was like, fantastic. This is what I love about the Republic. It's a really wonderful place. A lot of dreams can come true.
We should stop here.
Yeah, this is good.
Oh, God.
Plu Clune, loser.
Low energy Mace Windu.
I don't know what it is about him, but him I particularly don't like.
I saw that girl on Jabba's vessel, and I remember thinking, she had those two green things coming off of her head, and I thought I just had to go up and kiss her. How could I not just go up and kiss her? You have to put in a Tic Tac just in case. All right, this is enough.
All right.
This is enough.
That'll do.
Geonosis, what a great crowd. It's all the flying bug monsters.
All right. Goodbye.
I'm like now reimagining. I'm reimagining Jabba's palace as like Jabba the Hutt as like a Jeffrey Epstein. Like space.
He's like leaning up. Trump is leaning up next to him, like, "Oh, look at her, she's hot." It's like the green tentacle head.
Yeah. And Jabba, much like Jeffrey Epstein, was strangled to death by Hillary.
All right.
By Hillary
Goodbye.
Clinton.
Goodbye. Stay cool. Jesus Christ.
All right, cigarette time.
Yeah.
One last
Okay.
bit. I just imagine Trump like kind of reverse engineering the Mandela effect because he can't remember the difference between the original Star Wars movies and the special editions. he's confused. He's like, the Sarlacc pit wasn't always like that. What happened? We're in a different dimension. Yeah, I feel like I'm shifting between dimensions. This last order in office is to order like the SEAL Team 6, the exact like same crews, the Bin Laden Abbottabad complex guys to go raid Skywalker Ridge and find the original negatives of George Lucas has stored.
Yeah, they're gonna raid the vault and like steal the original like footage and then dump George Lucas's body in like the South China Sea or something.
Stay cool. Goodbye.
Ewok is just Wookiee backwards.
No, okay, goodbye.
Open your eyes.
No more.
All right, fine.
All right.
Stay cool.
And I'd like to change my life, and you know I would. Just to be with you tonight, baby, if I could. But I've got my job to do, heavy load, but I'll be back. Pay the price, make a sacrifice, and still I'll try. Wish